Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
A new gambling program allows you to place bets on the past. Absolutely bizarre story coming out of the world of gambling. Then we take a look at the story of a young child in Japan who stumbles across a brand new cryptid. Or is it? And finally, we take a look at the conspiracy theory that aliens are in fact visiting Earth, but they're not here to make first contact. They're not here for military purposes or scientific curiosity. No. They're simply here to gawk. Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. Hope you guys are having a great day too. I hope you guys are having tons of fun doing whatever you're doing. We got a jam-packed episode today. So first off, running into Dead Rabbit Radio Command, everyone give it up for Legacy Patreon supporter, Soupy Poopy Pants. Woo, yeah! Running on in, holding his pants up so they don't fall down. They are soaked in both soup and poop. Soupy Poopy Pants has been a long-time member of the Patreon. That is why he's going to be our captain or pilot this episode. If you guys can't support the show financially through the Patreon or the merch store, I totally understand. I really do. Just help spread the word about Dead Rabbit Radio. That helps out so much. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Dead Rabbit Radio is your favorite paranormal show. That is how you can help the show grow. Soupy Poopy Pants, let me start off by saying I apologize that I haven't sent the stickers out yet. I don't know why I'm so bad at this. I have a bunch of people I gotta send stickers to, and I haven't sent them out, so I apologize to you, buddy. That's why I'm making sure you're getting in this, and that's why I'm making sure I send the stickers out this weekend. And that's exactly what I told him 2 months ago. I apologize. I just don't know why this is so hard for me. Also, I propped the window open because it was getting hot in here, but I think I'm gonna have to shut it. Hold on. Because apparently the muscle car race is outside. Fast and Furious and all that. I'm hoping this weekend I'm going to have my stuff in my new studio space. Because I can keep the air cooler in there. That's where my air conditioner is. But anyways, forget all that stuff. Let's take a look at this fan art here. This is from ConspiraSam. He made us this fan artwork. Quite fantastic. Thank you so much, ConspiraSam. And ConspiraSam just dropped a new video on his channel about humanoid visits on Earth, alien humanoids. So I'll go ahead and put that in the link, put that in the show notes, and check it out. Check it out. ConspiraSam has a YouTube channel. Check it out. And here is this awesome artwork. Soupy Poopy Pants, let's go ahead and get this party started. I'm going to toss you the keys to the Dead Rabbit Dirigible, our big, beautiful blimp. Why don't you fly us out of Dead Rabbit Radio Command all the way out into the past? Taking the Dead Rabbit Dirigible out, and then hit that back in time button. Now we're going through the portal in our the slowest vehicle possible. Hurry up, the portal's going to close. We're back in time, and we're at a Yankees game or something like that, right? I'm not a big sports guy, so you'll have to bear with me. We're at the Yankees game. They're playing the New York Jets or something like that. I think that's a football team. Now that would be a sport I would definitely be into. The baseball player gets up on the plate. He's ready to pitch. Then all of a sudden a 300-pound linebacker just clobbers him. That sounds fantastic. The New York Yankees are playing against the Boston Red Sox, we'll say. And we're sitting in the stands. And we're back in time. So it's like 1978. Everyone's dressed all in bell-bottoms. And disco music's blasting over the loudspeakers as the New York Yankees are throwing balls around. And who are they playing again? I already, the Mets, the Red Sox, whatever. We're watching this game and we see a Red Sox man get up on the plate and they're like, here comes Jerry Nice. Jerry Nice is a professional baseball player. I hope so. The announcer's like, they just letting anyone out there now? Jerry Nice is a professional baseball player. This is his third year playing for the Red Sox. Let's see this. Okay, and the Yankees pitcher lines up. He throws a fastball and crack. Yeah, there he goes. Jerry Nice doing his signature moonwalk. No one will ever do it better than him, all the way to first base. And then some other stuff happens. The announcer's super bored. He's like, when do the football players show up? This sport sucks. We're watching this game. And the Red Sox keep hitting the balls, and then it's the Yankees' turn, and they get up and they hit a couple balls, and this goes on and on for about 3 or 4 hours until eventually someone goes, oh, I don't know, they win, the Yankees win, and everyone's like, woo, cheering. Now, you don't know it at the time. This is such a weird story. This was something that I really had to dig into. I go, why would they do this, and how are they doing it? We don't know at the time, but in 1978, when Johnny Nice was batting against the New York Yankees pitcher, Domingo Coles. It was just one pitch in 1,000 pitches thrown that year. It was an at-bat, and Johnny Nice cranked it all the way out. It was a single. He made it to first base. Probably could have made it to second base if he hadn't moonwalked. We might have gotten a double. But now we're in the year 2026, and there's a young man sitting at home, and he pulls out his phone and he downloads the DraftKings app. And he is able to place a bet on whether or not Johnny Nice will hit a single or strike out in the year 1978. So this is a new thing. It's only legal in Oregon. It's only available in the state of Oregon, which is my home state. If this is not my home state. I grew up in California, but the state where I live at now. It's only available in Oregon. It is a new DraftKings feature, which is a big online betting thing if you're not familiar with them. It's called DK Replay. And it allows you to place bets on past baseball at-bats. And I was reading the article and I go, this is the dumbest thing possible. Because if you ever want to talk about people being obsessed about things, people knowing the minute details, you'll hear people go, oh, yeah, this guy, he knows everything about Pokemon, or this guy knows everything about 1980s Transformers, or this guy knows everything about this fandom, or the lore of Supernatural, or whatever. All of that pales in comparison to an average sports watcher. Someone can sit there and list the first 150 Pokemon, and then maybe all of them up until now. They can list all the Pokemon, and I will never be as impressed as I will be just running into a guy at a bar and him able to go, the Yankees are doing good this year, but when they had their 1963 lineup, and they'll just rattle off names and statistics, and this is just some random guy. I didn't run into him at a baseball convention. Or a game, I think they're called baseball games, but you know what I mean? I'm always shocked, and a lot of my friends are sports dudes, and I'll sit and talk to them about all sorts of stuff, and they have a general knowledge of what goes on in the world. They'll never go, you know what, yeah, this Congress, they are voting for some weird stuff, but if you talk about the 1972 Congress and they start rattling off what certain senators voted for, I've never had that happen. But I know personally people who could tell you the lineup of the 1988 A's. And then when it changed, in 1990, they traded away these players for these players. An encyclopedic knowledge of sports almost seems like a prerequisite to talk about it at all. And people who have a general base knowledge of all sorts of things know everything about one or even more than one sport. It's always just so bizarre to me. So when they said that you can bet on past baseball games, I thought, that's stupid, because just the average sports fan will remember Johnny Nice batting against Domingos Coles, or whatever that guy's name was, that I made up. And if they didn't know it off the top of their head, and they could definitely look it up. But this app allows you to bet on past at-bats. And the way that they do it is they anonymize everything. They'll show a cartoon picture of a batter, and they give you 3 options. In play, so is it a single, a double, home run? Doesn't matter. In play, strikeout, or ball. And it will give us tier level. It'll say this anonymous pitcher, his skill level is level 4. And this anonymous batter, his skill level is level 3. So he's not as good as the pitcher historically, but you don't know when the game was played. You don't know what teams they're playing for. You don't know their names. None of that. You know their skill level. And you place the bet. The ball's in play. I'll bet $5 that this ball gets in play. It's a strike. You lose the money. Okay. Well, I'm going to bet again. I'm going to bet he gets this ball in play. It's a ball. Okay. Well, I'm going to bet again. And the betting goes on for that at-bat. So if it is like 3 strikes, then you get 3 chances to win your money. If it's 2 strikes and then he hits it, then you get 3 chances. If it's 4 balls, you got 4 chances. And then once that at-bat ends, it tells you the name of the players and it tells you the name of the teams and the date of the game. So then you can verify that what the system told you was real. You go, oh, dude, yeah, Johnny Nice in 1978, he did get 3 balls and 2 strikes. It was his last time playing. But, yeah. So you can actually look up and make sure the results are real. But why do this? So your first question is, how do you do it? How do you bet on a past game? Because sports people are so obsessed over those details. The second question, so now we know how. They anonymize everything. The second question is, why? Why do this? Why not just let you bet on normal games? And let me back up too. I read all of this on an article. I did additional research, but I got the bulk of this from an article written by Vasily Varlamos. Vasily Varlamos. He wrote for Cat2 2. That's a big news channel up here. KATU 2's website. We know how they do it. Why? And it's funny because it makes sense when you hear it. First off, Oregon has said you have to slow it down a bit, and DraftKings has done it, but you can bet way quicker than you can bet on a real game. Originally, apparently, you could go strike, ball, strike. You could just bet $5, like in a row. Oregon said, the regulators said you guys got to slow it down, but the original pace was you could just go strike, get a result, at play, get a result, ball, get a result, and you get to bet until that at-bat's over, and then it takes you to the next at-bat. They had to slow it down. But even with it slowed down, it's advantageous because, one, you can bet on baseball 24 hours a day, every day of the year. There's no more waiting for a baseball season for you to be able to bet on baseball. That's one. The second one is, let's say you are betting on baseball and you're watching the game live. There's commercial breaks. There's umpires coming out onto the field talking about a certain ruling. All of this stuff that just drags on the betting process. Those things are essential to have a game. You know, you have to have advertisers, sponsors, and all that stuff to make money for the game. And then also you have, conversations going on, people taking breaks, timeouts, all of that stuff, where if you are a compulsive gambler, that must be the worst. Right? The worst is losing your house and losing your job and everyone's trust in you. But, outside of that, waiting, you just want to bet. You want to bet on those at-bats. And you're just watching here comes the umpire coming out. He's talking to the coach. Yes, it appears there's something on the batter's shoes. He thinks that might give him an advantage. Let's take 10 minutes to talk about shoes as everyone looks at this guy's shoes. DK Replay allows you to just bet on baseball at your speed. Again, it's slower than it was originally, but still faster than waiting for commercial breaks. And you can do it 24 hours a day, every day of the year. DK Replay, they put out a statement saying a benefit to this is there is no randomness to it. When you go to a casino game, it's random. They go, we're based on real events. Basically, if you were alive in 1978, you could have bet on this at-bat. We took real events and changed the identifiers and allow you to bet on it, but you can verify that it was real. You can verify the results were real. There's no random chance involved at all. I mean, I guess random of what batter and pitcher you get. But once the event starts, it's not, I shouldn't say it's not, but it's definitely the possibility of fraud goes down. A lot of times in these unregulated casinos, like the online casinos, there's a big conspiracy theory out there that the cards are actually green screened. So they're holding down basically green cards and they put I don't know if this is true, but I see this complaint a lot about the overseas unregulated casinos. They're unregulated. They can do whatever they want. They can have a win percentage of 0. In America, in certain states even, there are win percentages that have to be built into the game. A slot machine has to pay out 2% of the time or something like that. Different states will have different rules. Unregulated casinos, they're unregulated. You literally could have a player win nothing, ever. But the idea is some of these casinos use green screen cards, and they know what you have, obviously, because they have access to that. And as the dealer's pulling cards off, it's a stacked deck in the sense that they can project whatever winning or losing hand they want on their dealer's cards. You do want the player to win enough to stick around. If they never win, then no one would go back there. But also enough that if you get a winning hand and you have $5,000 on this hand, they're going to beat you because the cards are green screened in. Whether or not that's true, I've heard that thrown around a lot over the years that I've really been looking into this. It's fascinating. Fascinating stuff. Longtime listeners of the show know that I'm not necessarily anti-gambling, but I see it as a massive problem. And I think gambling is going to be the new Vicodin. I think we're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years horror stories come out of all corners of America from the college student. And these are things that I've actually found online. The college student who gambled away his student loan and has no money to go to college now. 2 business partners finding out, I just found out that my co-owner that I started the business with gambled away all of our money. And the company's shutting down and I'm broke. I've come across stories like that and stories of spouses saying, I just found out my wife's a compulsive gambler and I found that out because we're getting evicted from our home. She's been intercepting all the mail. She told me she was taking care of all that stuff. We have no money in our bank accounts and we don't have a home anymore. Those are stories that we would hear, not those specific things, but you would hear about a drug-addicted employer losing his company and all of his employees are laid off because he's too busy out there scoring oxys. And when he does come into work, he's high as a kite. Marriage is being destroyed, families being destroyed, businesses being destroyed, lives being destroyed because of people getting into an opioid addiction. That's where gambling is going to be at in 5 to 10 years. We're going to see those same stories. In America, we'll have a reckoning where we will have to sit and decide, do we want to continue to support the gambling industry? How do we get it out of sports? Because now you'll be watching sports, there'll be ads for gambling companies, there'll be athletes in those ads. It's just a part of the beast now. Very interesting. I mean, I'm always interested in these huge social shifts. This is what I've been keeping an eye on. And I do think it's going to be a net negative for the country overall. And definitely a net negative for most of the people who play these games. So, interesting though, who thought you could gamble on the past? And it's legal in Oregon. I can only imagine there will be pretty strong lobby efforts by DK, by DraftKings to try to expand it to all 50 states. But betting on the past, who would have thought? I think they should do it more, actually, just for me to end this segment. I would start allowing people to bet on famous battles, or not even famous battles. You have a list of, I was just about to say you have an anonymized list of combatants. It's like, you wouldn't know what year it took place in, and you wouldn't know who the good guys and the bad guys were. But you go, okay, well, this army, this is a tier 3 army, but this army over here, it's a tier 5 army. How will the battle go? You could do that, but then you might feel kind of bad. You make like $10,000 and you're all like, yes, woohoo, what side did I bet on? And it's all Nazi Germany. You're like, oh no, I'm going to explain this to my drinking buddies. Yeah, hey, drinks are on me. Turns out the Nazis are a tier 4 army. Did you know that? They were way better than those British. You might have a hard time enjoying your drink if you made a ton of cash out of a Nazi victory or whatever. You're like, you know what? I had a side bet on how many people the Japanese are going to torture in that camp. Turns out a lot. So it turns out they tortured a lot of people to death, and I got $1 for each person they horribly maimed. You could see him do it. They won't do that, but I could see him expanding this past betting to Definitely other sports, for sure. But baseball, I think, because it's so quick. Anyways, weird stuff. Soupy Poopy Pants, let's go ahead and toss you the hair hang glider. We're leaving behind this baseball game in the past. Why don't you glide us all the way out to, oh, speaking of this, Japan. This story, we're in the year 1997, 1998. We're in the city of Fukuoka, Japan. It could also be Fukuoka, Japan. Fukoka. Now, I don't know much about this place. I definitely don't know how to pronounce it. But apparently, when I was looking it up, this area is considered to be the home of the most beautiful women in Japan. That's kind of cool, right? If you're going to go anywhere, you go one ticket to Fukuoka. Now, I did look up some photos, and I didn't think they were that. Honestly, I was like, oh, ooh la la. So I typed in beautiful women Fukuoka. And I mean, they're cute. I'm not. You're like, Jason, get on with the story. I don't know. I think I expected hotter women. They were okay, right? Okay, let's just move on. Listen, I'm sure they all had great personalities. No, they were attractive, but were they the hottest? Nah, I don't think so. Off the 4 photos, the 4 top photos of Google results, yeah, they're okay. I mean, like, I could be working at like a high corporation and they look like business women and stuff like that. Like, you know, sure, they have a healthy diet, they take care of themselves, but I would never say they were the most beautiful women in Japan. You know, but anyways, they're okay. They're okay. So let's talk about this story here. We are hanging out here in Fukuoka, Japan. I'm recording this segment a couple hours after I recorded the last part. I still didn't look up how to pronounce it. Sorry, guys. Anyways, we're in Fukuoka, Japan, and there we're about to meet a young student named Ori. Ori is an elementary student in Fukuoka, and on this particular day, Ori goes, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out and play by the woods next to my elementary school. And like I said, this story takes place in 1997 when you could do that. You kids could just wander the woods, not have to worry about any... Well, I mean, there were like sickos and perverts back then too, but, you know, we figured, maybe we could outrun them. Maybe we could beat them up. Actually, we didn't even think about it when I was a kid. There's perverts everywhere. It's just kind of part of life. It was just, we didn't like it. We didn't want to put up with it. But, it's funny because nowadays, when I was a kid, they used to have that program where you could put signs up in your front yard and it would say, this is a safe house. Not like one word, like a safe house for a terrorist group, but no, a safe house. You remember these signs? You fellow boomers out there, do you remember these signs? You'd have a sign in the front yard saying, this is a safe house. So if you were a kid and you were being chased by a pervert, you could run into one of these homes. You don't even knock on the door. You just burst through the window, psst, like weapons. You jump through their window and land on their couch, eating some snacks, watching TV. No, and the intent was that if you were being chased by a pervert, or anybody, maybe they're just an ordinary kidnapper, they're not perverted at all, they want to kidnap you for money. You're running down the street, you could go and knock on one of these doors, and a kindly adult would open it and go, come on, hurry up, quick, into the safe house. Do you remember those signs? I remember it was a thing down when I lived in Los Angeles County, when I was in elementary school. But you know what, even as a kid, I thought, well, if I was a pervert, I would totally get one of those signs. I'd have 10 signs, each in a different language. And I was like, how do they vet these adults for perversion? Right? You just bought a sign. You could just go to the store and get one of these signs. I think you did have to be part of Neighborhood Watch or something like that. But BTK, the bind, torture, kill serial killer, he was head of the HOA or something like that. So, a skilled pervert, I almost said a good pervert, a skilled pervert can hide their perversion until it's too late. Even as a kid, I thought, well, I'm not going to run. That guy might be more perverted than the guy chasing me. I don't know. I'm just going to keep on running. Anyways, so let's get back to the story. Ori is out in the forest near the school, just hanging out, being a kid, having fun, right? Not a pervert in sight. When all of a sudden, he sees something laying on the ground. Huh? He says as he picks a stick up and starts poking this thing. He didn't actually, the story doesn't say that he was poking it, but that's what I would do. What he's looking at is this large lump of flesh. It's dead, whatever it is, but he can't really figure out what he's looking at. It was in a cylindrical shape, shaped like a cylinder. It was about 7 inches in diameter and 11 inches long. And both sides looked like it had been severed. Looks like this was part of something much larger. It had a thin brown skin on it, and these markings that appeared similar to what you might find on an earthworm. So in a way, it looks like a giant earthworm had been chopped up on both ends, and this is the remaining piece. Now, we'll get to how big earthworms actually can get in a second, but that's one of the going theories as to what this is. This is a chunk from a giant earthworm, bigger than anything that should exist. Where it was cut, it was cut on both ends, that part of it was full of maggots. Maggots just crawling over each other to get another bite of this delicious, to them, have to be very careful. I'm standing next to Ori with a knife and a fork in my hand, a little bib. I go, delicious. Rotting earthworm, a delicacy in Dead Rabbit Radio. They're crawling over each other to get another bite. Just big, fat, wiggling maggots squirming on top of each other. I looked at a lot of different sources for this story. Sometimes they refer to the kid as Ori. Sometimes they refer to the kid as Wang Li, and sometimes Ori is a boy or a girl. I think it mostly comes down to translation errors. Just for full disclosure, there's a lot of talk about this in English language websites, but I wanted to go to the original Japanese blogs where they gave more details, and that's actually where we get the names and things like that. There is a sketch of it. It's a pretty good sketch, actually, of what Ori was looking at on these Japanese blogs as well. All this stuff will be in the show notes. And this thing is believed to be a segment of a cryptid. That it wasn't the entire creature itself, but just a part. It's referred to as Minho Taro. Minho Taro, or the Fukuoka worm. While Fukuoka worm is more descriptive, tells you where it was located and what they think it was, Minho Taro is actually, I think, it's a funnier name. Minho is from, there's a giant worm cryptid monster in Brazil known as the Minho Comb. The Minho Comb. And it's like a monstrous worm that the native population believed was there. And then when Spanish conquistadors came and Spanish missionaries came to Brazil, they also were trying to research this. And there were sightings even as recent as that. It's a big giant worm. I was thinking about doing a different segment on it. No pun intended. That was a pun intended. But it's just a giant worm. It had a big snout. Could knock over trees. Jason, that's awesome. Why are you telling us about a rotting chunk of a cryptid when there's pages upon pages of the giant worm in Brazil? Yeah, but that's all it did, right? It did drag cattle into the water. It did have a mouth. There's a lot of drawings of the thing. But I mean, I kept waiting for something else. As I'm sitting on the shoreline watching this thing devour a cow whole, I was like, that's it? That's all you can do? The Minho Taro, the first part of that name is based on the Brazilian cryptid. But taro, apparently, and I'm probably mispronouncing it, but taro in Japanese, it's a common signifier of a name, which means big. This is crudely translated. I don't know if this is the literal translation. But taro in Japanese means big, thick sun. So I'm like, that's kind of dope. It's like, oh, come here, Daddy's here to save you. You're all squeezing it, and maggots are shooting out of both ends. Oh, my big, thick son is home. Minho Taro. And there's two schools of thought on this thing. One is it's the remains of a giant earthworm, which is boring as a cryptid as that would be. It would still be notable because no earthworm has ever been seen to be that big. Now, I didn't know this, but they do get quite big. The Guinness Book of World Records worm is 6.7 meters long, which in real measurements, I forgot to figure that out, and what we use here on planet Earth, 6.7 meters, 21 feet. But, I mean, can you imagine waking up, there's a 21-foot long worm on top of you? You're like, why do I keep sleeping in the soil? Why do I keep sleeping in Mozambique? Or where did they find this thing? It was in Williamstown, South Africa. Why do I keep resting here? The longest worm, and there's photographs of this thing, Guinness World Records verified it. It's a earthworm that is 21 feet long, which is long. However, it was only 0.8 inches in diameter. Not monstrous by any means. Again, I wouldn't want one throwing at me. I wouldn't want to be walking down the street and one falls from a second-story window on top of me. Or even me just sitting on a bench and it crawled by. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It's coming right at me. It thinks I'm a cattle. No, that's not, I mean, it's impressive for an earthworm, but again, it doesn't reach Minho levels. So people have wondered, is this the segment of a giant worm? They said that even the color of they said the color shifted. So, and what I mean by that is if you look at an earthworm, it'll be dark in some parts and then light in other parts, generally where like that big head part of it is. You know, like when earthworm has that fatter part of its body than normal. They said it seemed to do the same sort of color gradient. The color changed through this, so they go, this actually might be part of a giant earthworm, a previously undiscovered beast living somewhere in Japan. But it could also be, this was funny, I mean, think about it, you're a kid, you find a piece of a monster, you tell everyone about it. It could also be, however, people who have seen it or researched this, one of the theories is that it's not a giant worm at all. What it is a cured ham that was illegally dumped. Jason, it's obviously that, you moron. Obviously. Someone bought a giant piece of cured ham that does have markings in it because the string's wrapped around it so it could look like it's worm. And the color gradient could be because the flesh is slowly rotting in the Japanese sunshine. That would explain for the maggots, that would explain for the size. Someone could have just discarded an entire cured ham out in the woods near a elementary school. But I would ask this, who would do that? Who would throw a ham into the woods? That's the true mystery. Who would buy a cured ham? Which I don't know what the difference is between a cured ham and a regular ham. I think probably they cook it or they put oil on it or something like that. They make them by leaving them out in the woods for 7 days, but they forgot to pick this one up. They lost it. But it is like that dark ham that's all tied up with string when you buy it and you eat it. People think that's what it could have been. This kid could have seen an illegally dumped cured ham, and it's not a cryptid at all. But who knows, right? Jason, that's like covering a story about Bigfoot and then go, oh yeah, by the way, a gorilla escaped from the nearby zoo just a mile away from this Bigfoot sighting. It could be, I do find, because this is something we covered recently, we did an episode, I think it was in Chile, about a giant snake that exploded into an ocean of worms, and it would leave this huge mass of wiggling worms. I do find the idea of cryptids that travel under the ground, and cryptids that are deep underwater, not sea monsters, those are lame, but like some sort of undiscovered monster in a place that we just never really get to. We don't do a lot of underground stuff. So there could be a lot of underground cryptids. I mean, it'd be kind of boring, right? It's just probably giant worms. But still, I thought that was interesting. And I did like this story because it possibly does have a realistic answer that it's just a piece of ham that someone left in the middle of the woods. A true madman. Only a true psychopath would do that. But anyways, interesting story. Minho Taro. Giant worm or cured ham found in the land of Japanese most beautiful women. I put a little asterisk next to that. I go, listen, the worm might exist, but I think beautiful is a debatable term. Jason, why'd you circle back to that? Why do you say stuff that makes you so unlikable? Hey man, I just expected them to be more attractive, right? And I expected this ham to be way more tasty. I'm eating it. I was like, oh, another mouthful of maggots. That's it. I'm only going to take 7 or 8 more bites. And if it doesn't get delicious by then, I'm out. Soupy poopy pants. People are throwing up. I'll take a pause for the vomit. My mouth full of maggots. Just a close-up photo of it. Soupy poopy pants. Let's go ahead and toss you the keys to the world famous Carpenter copter. We're leaving behind Fukuoka, Japan. Why don't you fly us all the way out to Roswell, New Mexico? Soupy Poopy Pants flies us into Roswell, New Mexico. We get to Roswell, New Mexico, and we're there kind of like kicking dust around. And I go, this is the place where that UFO crashed many decades ago. World famous UFO crash. And I go, see that over there? See that piece of metal? And you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And I go, that is actually part of the UFO that the Army never found. And you're like, what? Oh, that's cool. And then I go, walk a little bit closer over there. You see that transparent plasticky thing? And you pick it up. You're like, oh yeah, no, this is pretty cool. And I go, that is actually one of the windows that was on this UFO. What was the Army doing if they're missing all this stuff? I go, you see that over there? And you look and you see like a metal knob sticking out of the ground. And I go, that's actually part of the control panel of the UFO. Yeah, the Army didn't do a good job at all. This place is littered with UFO parts. But right over there, that's really what you want to see. And you're walking over there and you see something sticking out of the New Mexico soil. And you pick it up and you're like, what? And I go, yes, that is the clue that we've always been missing as to why there was a crash here so many decades ago. That, my friend, that what you are holding is an alien Four Loko. And I'm like, what? You're looking at it, you're like, you're right, it does look like a Four Loko. It's a can of alcohol. It's what it is. It's just written in alien gibberish. But you go, so wait, are you telling me that the aliens were drinking malt liquor? And that's why they crashed into the planet? And I go, yeah, actually, they did. That's exactly, I didn't think about that. I was like, oh, actually, that's a good idea. I was hoping there was some more Four Loko in there for me. Oh, no, but I mean, what a great theory. You're right. Maybe the aliens were drunk when they crashed. Hey, you remember that time that dude got abducted by aliens in wherever? It happens all over the world. It's quite scary, actually, but remember that alien abduction when that dude said he was driving his car and a light showed up over his car, and then next thing you knew, he was strapped down on a metal table, and you're like, yeah, I remember that. And I go, so think about it. Why would aliens do that? Why would aliens just abduct random people and do medical experiments on them? And you go, I don't know. I mean, that is a question UFOologists have been trying to answer for years. I go, well, we have the answer. And it's connected to that Four Loko can. And sometimes people are abducted and all they do is, put implants in them so they can track them around and stuff like that. But sometimes they abduct people and they just seem to rape humans. They seem to do it not a lot, but more often than you would want it to happen. And you're like, yeah, I've heard those stories too. Isn't that something to do with their scientific alien breeding program? I go, well, that's what people say, but what you don't realize is the alien sex assaults, the scientific abductions, and that Four Loko can you're holding are all connected. And you're like, what are you talking about? This is an interesting theory that I saw online recently, and it's interesting for 2 reasons. 1, it makes a lot of sense. And 2, people in the comments who were so pissed off about this, they were up in arms. They were up in arms that someone was even saying this theory, which I think you'll find shocking when I lay it out. You go, why would you argue against that? And we'll go into it. I found this theory posted online. It was posted by a user going by the name might be the real Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin. Maybe he's real. Not only is he a real person, but he has a Reddit account. Rumpelstiltskin posted this recently, and his theory was that aliens are the equivalent of a tourist. He says that's why you have so many different types of alien encounters. Some of them are here for scientific reasons. Some of them are here to observe us. Some of them are here to exploit us. Some of them are here to kill us. Some of them are here to rape us. And if it was a unified alien race, if they were on a military mission or a government mission or a civilization-wide observation mission, it wouldn't make sense they were doing so many different things to us. Why is it sometimes they visit humans and they give us space pancakes, and other times they visit humans and shoot them with rays and try to cut their faces off and mutilate their cattle? Why is it sometimes they take us on board and talk about world peace, and other times they rape us? It wouldn't make sense if it was a unified mission. He says that he explained it this way. He goes, it's the same way that we can own a car or even own a plane and go to just a random place on Earth. We would go there and we would say, want to see the sights of Niagara Falls. Or we want to go and have a good time. Don't be a dork just taking pictures of a waterfall. We want to go to some random honky-tonk bar and start trouble. Maybe we have a darkness in our heart, and we use our vehicle to patrol the city streets looking for our next victim. Maybe we have a purpose. Maybe we want to take our car out into the desert and study the rocks, study the wildlife. Just like a human can get in a car and do what they want, that would be what aliens are doing. He goes, think about it this way. He goes, this is a quote. He said, quote, hobbyists and sadist psychopaths alike can own cars on Earth and go where they like, unquote. But it used to not be that way, right? It used to be that only a select few had an automobile. You were kind of limited to where you could walk. Maybe you owned a horse, which again would be an expensive investment. But now cars are far cheaper than they used to be. Back when cars were more expensive, you weren't able to just go out and do whatever you wanted. But now that cars are cheaper, we have different modes of transportation that are cheaper as well. We can visit places more frequently than we used to. And he used the same analogy with the alien craft. The early alien missions may have been very selective because only certain groups of people had access to this technology that's allowing them to either come from another dimension or come across the stars. But as technology has moved forward, now you're going to have more sightings and they're going to be more varied because different people, different aliens have access to these flying craft that they wouldn't have had before. We do see a lot of parallels in this theory between what we can view humans and technology to aliens technology. But it's an interesting theory. And he goes, this is why we have so many differences in what people say happens to them when they get abducted. Sometimes aliens are just standing outside the house staring at you while you wake up, right? Sometimes it's that, and sometimes it's a full-bore abduction, missing time, all of that stuff. It wouldn't make sense if it was a unified mission. And he goes, this could be the reason, one of the big reasons why the government just can't disclose the existence of alien life. He goes, it's one thing to say there is a civilization across the stars that have sent explorers here. They've sent their scientists. They are trying to make contact with us. And we've been lying to you for decades about this. That's one thing. Then saying there's an alien race across the stars and at any moment, one of them can enter our airspace and we have no idea what they're going to do until it happens. There is no treaty. There is no negotiation. There is nothing we can say to them because the government that regulates them really don't care. And they're millions of light years away. These are people who are coming to our planet. They all have different purposes. And we don't know if you're going to be sexually assaulted or be given space food until it happens. And there's nothing we can do to stop this. I mean, think about it. How would you say that? It would be like if the police said, listen, there's going to be random people walking around the neighborhood. Some of them might give you money. Some of them might murder you. And there's nothing we can do to stop it. They can enter your home at any time. Like, how would you sleep at night? Versus if they said, listen, there's an enemy regime across the ocean. We may have terrorist attacks here on our soil. But if we destroy that country, then we'll destroy the will of the terrorists and we can put an end to this. That's a huge difference. Even if you say they're technologically superior. You can say we're going to try to negotiate with our enemy across the ocean. We're going to try to strike a bargain to keep our people safe. You lose all of that stuff if it's just random people showing up with no cause. I thought this was interesting. He said, quote, "They can come here and do as they please due to their advanced technology, and no one at their homeworld cares. No one on their homeworld cares about the safety and morality of beings light years across the universe. They have their own lives to live. Even if they did care, would their technology or social culture allow them to be monitored?" I mean, again, so if you had a guy, he had an interesting analogy. He goes, think about it, you could get in your car right now, drive out in the middle of nowhere, get out of your car, scoop up a handful of worms, hold them up, look at them. If you wanted to be cruel, you could be throwing them around or swallow one if you're some sort of circus freak, and then leave. And the worms would be like, what was that? What just happened? What? I just saw this dude get eaten up there, and little Timmy went flying across the ground. He's way over there. Come back, Timmy. Our home was destroyed. They'd have no recourse. They wouldn't even be able to comprehend what happened. They would just be left to pick up the pieces and hope it never happened again. And the worms would have no recourse to that. There is no way in the world they could ever stop it from happening or stop it when it's happening. They can only hope to pick up the pieces. And sometimes the pieces are them. And if you knew that, I mean, think about it. We call it sports. We call it hunting. I don't mind. I'm not an anti-hunter guy by any means. I mean, I don't think you should just walk around shooting wildlife. You eat it. But your boss goes, yeah, I'm going out hunting this week. Me and my buddies, we have elk hunting permits. We're going to go hunt an elk. You might have one or two people at the workplace go, oh, yeah, they shouldn't be out there killing those animals and stuff like that. And da-da-da-da-da. But most people would be like, oh, maybe bring some elk meat back for me. Give me the horns. Or maybe just not have an opinion about it at all. It'd be the same thing with aliens. Even if they knew what was going on, all the time, we have incidents like that. There's a few times we'll get involved, obviously, if someone's like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to go kick my dog around. That's obviously something we would. Our morality does not allow that. But hunting, if someone said, I'm going to have a barbecue, we're going to cook up a bunch of brats and burgers and stuff like that. We're living animals that died strictly so you can have a barbecue. And again, most of us just go, can I have a burger? I'm really hungry. Even though I ate that whole elk last week, I'm starving. Our culture allows for a certain level of damage on our own planet. Well, we blew up that building, but, there's a bunch of bad guys in that building. There's some civilians too. Yeah, but we allow as a society a certain amount of damage. We do. Some might outrage us more than others, but... And I do think the best way to look at aliens is through that human lens. It has a limit to it. Obviously, there are things that aliens seem to do that we can't comprehend. There are things that we can comprehend. Great, aliens hate jazz music. I hate jazz music. I totally understand where they're coming from. They like strawberry ice cream. I don't. I don't understand that. Those weird aliens. But here's the thing, I could eat some strawberry ice cream. It's just not my favorite. Rumpelstiltskin finishes his post off by saying, quote, "It could be that the universe is busy, messy, indifferent, and not organized around us. And that's it." Unquote. We're just the tourist stop. We're just the specimen jar. But not specimen jar that they're trying to interbreed with us. We're the worms. They do what they want when they want. We mean nothing to them. Nothing at all. We're just a place they can go and gawk. They can stare at us. They can do things to us. We mean as much to them as a fly means to us. How many flies are you planning on killing this summer? We don't really plan to kill them, but... Listen, and I don't like killing insects, but I kill a lot over the summer. I do it because it's inconvenient to me, because they're buzzing in my ear or whatever like that. You're like, Jason, take the garbage out. No. It's nothing to do with my garbage. But I do it because it's inconvenient to me, and I think nothing of it most of the time. Sometimes I feel bad in weird situations, but that is the relationship. We're not equals. We're not even close to equals. He posted this online and immediately got shouted down. And it's funny because you go, why? Why do you think he got shouted down? It's because he placed us as being very insignificant in the world, or in the universe. Very insignificant in the eyes of the universe. People were saying stuff like, no, you don't understand. All the reality is a simulation, and it's been programmed to test us. No. See, that puts us in the center of the universe. Everything revolves around us. If we are a simulation, who's to say we're not the characters on the back end? We're not even the main characters of the simulation. That's for another world where they're the mains. We're just a defect. Not even a defect, because that would make us special. We're just background code. Even if I said we were defective, then we're breaking free of the Matrix. Some people goes, no, you don't understand. See, aliens, the reason why they don't come down here as a civilization, because they're scared of us. They see how violent we are. They're afraid. Nope. Because again, that makes us their equals. It was very interesting to see the egotistical responses against this argument. And it's just a theory, right? We don't know if it's true. But people push so hard against it, you would rather be an alien's boogeyman than an alien's booger. Which is what his theory is that we're literally nothing to them. No, we are so violent, that's why the aliens won't open themselves up to us, because they are waiting for us to become peaceful space brothers. One person said, no, we're ants. We're not nothing, we're ants. In the same way that we observe the complexity of ant life, that is the way aliens observe us. No. Not according to this theory, because ants are interesting. And ants have a level of intelligence. If we found ants on any other planet before we found them on Earth, we would think we were dealing with an advanced alien life form on the level of us. Not as far as they can't communicate in the ways we do, completely alien. But if we discovered them on Mars, 100% they would be considered a brand new advanced life form because of how smart they are here on Earth. We're slime mold. We're something that, instead of a scientist coming out and going, let's look at the complexities of this ant hive, it's a kid poking at it with a stick. Now, of course, you do get scientists who come out and study slime mold, and that would be the scientists who abduct humans and put implants and stuff like that. But they have no emotional connection to us at all because we're nothing to them. One person even argued, no, we're food. We're food to the aliens. We're food to the reptilians. He was so desperate in believing that we were something special to these aliens, he would rather be food than nothing. He would rather become a meal of an alien than to simply be disregarded as less than food. His ego couldn't take the idea that we are nothing in the universe. We're super fascinating. When I read the theory, I go, oh, this is kind of interesting. It was the comments that really made me think, wow, people are really opposed to this. The idea that aliens are not coming here because we're an advanced civilization, they want to make first contact. They're coming here maybe because we're close, right? Maybe we're the stop along the way. We're not even the final destination. People would rather be lab monkeys. People would rather be food than to be nothing in the eyes of the universe. One poster wrote, quote, what if we are currently being evaluated? If we are good keepers of this planet? Like a job interview. Maybe the previous civilizations failed the interview, and we are about to fail too. Maybe this planet is extremely precious to them because they terraformed it and are obsessed with it, like a child is with their fish tank. Unquote. According to this theory, the last part's right. That's actually not a terrible analogy, a child with his fish tank. But as a tourist, when you go to visit a place, are you concerned about who is the keeper of this restaurant? Who here will pass the test? No, you go in, you eat your food, and you leave. You might ask for the manager if it's bad service. But you don't go, oh, look at this pristine land that we're driving by. And it's funny because you might, right? You might comment on the landscape or something like that. You don't go, let's pull over and find the governor and introduce ourselves to the governor and show him how special this area is to us because he is the keeper of the realm. No, you don't do that. You drive from one location to another, you have your fun, and you either continue your journey or you come back home. You might meet some nice people in that town, but it's a tourist trap. It's a city you went to. It's a hotel you stayed in. And then you leave. You might make some special memories there, but it does not mean that place is special. It's just like everywhere else on the earth. And our Earth would be just like every other planet that has life on it that these aliens would have access to. We may not even be the final destination. We might just be the layover. And it's crazy to think people would rather be food. They would rather be captured by reptilians and bred in tubes and then pulled out when a alien overlord wanted a fancy meal as you're not chasing your vor fetish. You need to keep it in check, bro. As you are brought into the royal chamber to see the huge reptilian, beautiful woman with heaving bosoms and a big belly. Oh, now listen, if you get turned on, that's on you. I'm not trying to do that. And she's sitting there and she goes, "Who is my next meal?" She shakes her belly a bit. And you're hoping it's you. And you're hoping it's you. That loincloth isn't doing you many favors. It's showing you're getting a little turned on. You come here. Crawl into my mouth head first. Aww. And as you are being quote-unquote forced, you're all running at full speed right into her mouth. All right, finally, I get to live my vor fetish out. As you are quote-unquote forced to go into her mouth, you feel the steamy... Jason, stop it. You feel the steam of her stomach acid. You feel it burning your nose. You're finally about to live out your greatest fantasy as you're sliding down her esophagus. And you go, you know what? This isn't the ending I wanted, but at least I'm feeding the queen of the reptilian empire. At least I'm her food. You'd rather be that than nothing. But nothing is all we are. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be your email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is at DeadRabbitRadio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm glad you listened to it today. Have a great one, guys.